Hello, precious people. I'm Jacqueline Parks, and welcome to my studio, Stampin' Turtles. Sorry, I'm like having some tongue-tiedness today. Don't even have makeup on, don't have anything, just my hair in a braid. I actually went out and picked figs this morning with my husband, and now he's doing some yard work, and I just thought the class I did yesterday was a little more advanced, so maybe today I would do a more in-depth close-up of it all so that whoever came yesterday could watch this video today. It will post later if you can't join live, if you can't paint along right now. It will be up for all eternity, right? I do want to show you guys the inspiration piece for this class, and let me see. I'm looking through my little post thingies. Okay, so here is mine's on the left and the inspiration piece is on the right. So the one on the right I found off of Pinterest, and the artist is just amazing. Look at the dribbles of the water and the waterfall. It's just so cool. I love it, right? And yesterday's painting during the class is the one on the left that I did. So I did not get quite enough detail in there. I really would have done more. I would have done more, but I was walking around helping people. And as I was helping people paint this painting, I realized that it was a lot to give these newbies for their first time or second time painting. I think my friends who actually have been coming for over a year, they've done fabulous. Like, let me show you the group shot if I can find it. So check this out. We did amazing, right? Like, I am super impressed with everyone. The newbie is actually next to me, and there was one other lady. She did one that was really good. This one, and this is her second time painting, and I thought she did fabulous considering the subject matter and the depth and the intricacy and all the talents that we have to put together to make it work. So this actually was pretty impressive for someone who's a beginner, right? So now let's take a look at my my desk. I'm going to show you guys quick sketching, right? We got to do quick sketching in this because this is supposed to be an hour, right? We don't want it to be one of those classes that takes more than an hour, although my in-person classes are 2 to 3 hours. The reason I realized it wasn't a beginner class was because we went to like 4:30, 4:40, which was pretty late. Normally we only go till 4. Sometimes we're done by 3:30. I actually thought we were gonna be able to make 2. I don't know what I was thinking, y'all. I must have been having one of those brain thingies. But I was like, well, here we go. We're just gonna go with it, right? And we learned a lot. And sometimes pushing yourself beyond what you would normally do is the best way to learn. I think anyways, we always, you may feel like, oh, I didn't do as good as you. I didn't do as good. I didn't do as good as the original. Remember the original side by side? Do I have that little thing? Remember, side by side. Like, no comparison really in my mind. Like, the one on the right is by far superior. My is good. Oh, hey, June, thanks for joining. It was a lot, but you learned so much. That's good. Yes, I enjoyed watching you paint because I could see how you have really grown as an artist, and you're starting to trust the process of the water and paint mixing on the paper and creating the images. And we always have that ugly stage. Sometimes that ugly stage worries us. You know what I mean? It makes us feel a little like we're not doing it right. But if we keep trusting Sometimes that's the hard part, is to keep trusting. And isn't that true with like our faith? When things are going wrong and we're believers in Christ, and we trust that God's got a plan. But when it looks bleak, we're like, what's the plan, Lord? I want to know everything. And then like sometimes he's like, well, you just got to trust, right? Just got to trust. So this actually is the one that I painted yesterday. I could see it needs a lot more detail. I do like some of the stuff in here. I think that is really, there are some good bones to this one, I think. And it was funny because when I picked it up today and I turned it upside down, I was like, well, shoot, it could even be good upside down. How funny is that? But I'll tell you what, with all of the shows I have coming up in the fall, I do want to start making some things that would be easy to sell. These are great. There's 4 flowers. Like if you press flowers, they're supposed to put, some flowers in there. I put my watercolors in there. I think they make great little frames, and you can just hang them wherever. I do end up putting a little bit of glue to keep them closed, but other than that, they make a great little frame. And I'm gonna maybe do one in the landscape mode. I have this one that we can do, and I have an 8x10. So I did cut this paper already. We are not going to spend tons of time drawing. I know that a lot of people want to draw quick, or not quick. They want to take their time and draw slowly. But the problem with that is you're spending all your time drawing, and this is not a drawing video. This tutorial is for watercoloring. So I really want to show you guys how to watercolor more than draw. So let me move my little light so you can kind of see more what I'm doing over here. My little light, does it work? So this is a 9 or 8x10. And so this would be ready to go into a frame. You don't have a ready-made frame with a mat. So this would be really pretty. And all my 8x10s, whoops, what happened to my focus? Why is my focus off? I didn't know. Hello? Why is my focus off? Unless it's like the lighting did that. I don't know. All right. That was weird. Sometimes my camera likes to do weird things, right? So I'm going to pull up on my phone the image that is the inspiration for this whole piece, which I wish I knew the artist. Maybe I can zoom in on her piece and say, this is the artist, but I don't know if I even saved that. It's like a scribble name, Pollard, something Pollard. So I really am impressed with her painting. Her painting is fabulous, right? I do change a little bit of things when I paint from someone else's. So the first thing I'm going to notice with my drawing is I am going at an angle. I am creating this rock. My pencil needs to be sharpened. It's not very sharp. But I'm going to try and do some of these rocks. And you can learn to draw by going on, other YouTubers probably have drawing. I'm just making it up as I go along. Maybe that's supposed to go up there. I don't know. And then these are my flowers are up here. I'm just going to draw little circles for that. I don't know if there's a way to do a close-up of that. See what I'm drawing. But see that? I'm just doing it real light. You can actually, you could make some little shapes for leaves if you want, but I think what I'll end up doing is is just improvising as I go along. And there are some weird little vines and stuff. See how I'm just doing that? Right about here is the water's edge. Oops, that doesn't look right. That did not look right. Let me zoom back out for y'all. So it's going in and then around. Like the water's going to come out this way. So in fact, I don't want that to be real dark. But then there is a little bit up here. Actually up here. So yeah, this is going to be fairly simple drawing because we don't want to spend a ton of time on our drawing. Okay, but this is where my water's cascading down, okay? Right about here. I'm just going to put it in there. There's actually a leaf right here that kind of goes in front of that. So I'm just doing that. Let me see if I can show you what I just did. So this one is kind of in front of the waterfall. So that's going to be light. And then there's going to be some kind of bush down here. And some more flowers. More flowers, more flowers. You can put as many flowers as you want. You can put more leaves. And I'm just putting these like little things here. And then this is going to be, I guess this is leaves. I think I made this a rock. I'm going to make this a rock because I like the rocks. The rocks look good. That's a rock. And then in this corner, we're going to have some bigger rocks. And then this is cascading down, cascading, trickling down. And I'm trying not to do too much detail here, but I do kind of want to, this would be easier if you have a good drawing. There is a little bit of a little rock or something right here. Little rock right here, okay? So pretty much that's your drawing. I don't want to spend too much time drawing, but that's your drawing. And it's almost like this is floating, but we're going to have some greenery in there. It's going to look great. In fact, I love green. The green colors are going to be great. And I'm going to use this flat brush. Can you see my flat brush? And my water is still dirty water from whenever it was. I'm going to use a little sap green, mix it up. Lots of water in our first layer. Add a little bit of red just to tone it down and make it more of a sage green. Just a little bit of red. Don't make it like, especially if you're using tube paint straight from the tube, it's going to be more easy to overdo it. So just try to water it down and just use a little bit of red with your green. So now we are going to just start painting. And I'm going to avoid all the circles for my flowers and just go around those circles, right? And a lot of these rocks over here are kind of green, so I'm going to just go ahead and do a nice light wash on them. This rock is kind of green, so just do a nice wash on that. You can go around these little flowers or circles. And remember, the more you do something, the better you get. So if this is your first time and you're a beginner, you will learn a lot, but you are going to struggle because we realized pretty much within a half hour that we were struggling. Right? We were struggling with this one. I am going to keep lightening this as I go down. Avoid those little circles that I have down here. Not perfectly. I'm not perfect, y'all. This is not a perfect painting. These are really loose watercolors, and we're not trying to be a perfect rendition of it. We're trying to do our own interpretation, right? So, with a little bit of glare on there, sorry about that. I do want you to see how I went around those, but not perfectly. I also went around these down here, but not perfectly. And look how light this is. Like, I did not use a ton of dark green down here, and I'll show you why in a minute. So now we're looking at the whole thing. It's not taped down. I told people to tape it down at the class. But I don't have any of my clipboards here, so I can't really tape it down so I can tilt. So I just leave it without being taped down. But I've kind of learned how to paint on this without worrying about if there's a little curvature to it. It's fine. It won't mess up me personally. But if you're new to this, you may want to tape it down. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush completely. I'm going to use my paper towel that I always have and just dry it. Just dry it, rinse, and dry. Oops, I just splattered myself in the face. All right, so I just was cleaning up my little splatters that just got all over the place. If you do splatter like I do randomly, you can always erase it with a clean brush, clean dry brush. So now I'm looking at this area, and I will go to this little pointy brush, and I'm going to add some yellow into my kind of wet mix right here. And so this is kind of what is more advanced up here, is like you adding this like yellow on top of here, and it does something with what's already down, like what I've already put on this, you know. Another thing I forgot is my tea. I didn't get no tea today. But I'm adding these yellow spots in here, and they kind of flow a little bit with what's already on there. We can do this too. Let's do a little bit of green on that. And this is going to have some dark on the bottom. I like having this green in here and then yellow. And if you learn how to paint consistently on a daily basis, you're going to see how yellows interact with what's already kind of there. Like it pushes paint away. So I'm just adding these yellow. We didn't really do this because I think this would have made it kind of harder for y'all. But I did just now add some yellow in there, and it's blending with the greens. This rock over here also has a yellowish green. So let's just put a little bit more on there. The greens I'm using, I want you to see, I've got sap green right here, and I am definitely going to use a little bit of viridian green later. I use alizarin crimson red, and I like the yellow ochre and cadmium yellow. So these were the colors so far that we've used. I like to just buy a 24 set of watercolor paints like this, because then you have a lot of choices. And the names really don't matter as much as like looking at them and practicing with them. Then you'll start to learn what colors you like to use. Viridian's a little too vibrant for me, but we will be using a little bit of it because I have some right here already mixed in with some Payne's Gray. And if you don't have a tube of Payne's Gray, I recommend going out and buying some. Already I'm seeing this is, let me see if I can do a close-up of this section. This is kind of having a bleed mark right there, which when you're watercoloring is kind of a good thing sometimes, and sometimes it's a bad thing. But look, I'm adding some dots. Sorry, rinsing, adding some yellow. Look at how it's bleeding and pushing. So that can be fun. If you don't like that bright of a yellow, do some burnt sienna. I can get enough burnt sienna on my brush. Get it nice and in there. You can do this. You can also use that burnt sienna right now and paint this rock. And it does have a little bit of Payne's gray. And sometimes I like to mix right on the paper. So now I'm looking at this rock like that, and it's looking okay, but what I'm noticing is I lost my highlight. So what I'm gonna do is rinse my brush out till it's clean, dry it on my paper towel, and watch what I do. Lift and dab. Lift, dab. Lift and dab. So you can get a shape of a rock with a highlight. You might want to do it on here too. That might work. And if you don't like how it's working out, you can always go in with a little bit of a damp brush and just wiggle your brush on there. And you can add your own little blooms of clean water on there, and it will make some fabulous techniques. And that just looks kind of cool to me. And I don't think it's going to be exactly like the ones I've painted before, but we're not trying to be machines, and we're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to just enjoy the process. So right now I'm enjoying a process right here of just creating these intricate little blooms on the rock. This is starting to look a little bit too light, but I can't do anything because right now both are wet. This is wet, this is wet. So if you try and do both paint next to each other, they'll just bleed together, and so that would not be what we want, right? So let me see if I zoom back out, if we can look at the whole picture again. So I haven't even done the waterfall. Like I'm gonna leave that for last, maybe. We'll see what I'm gonna do next. So I am gonna mix some more green because we've already ran out of our green. So I'm gonna mix some more sap green, a little bit of red. And this one I want to darken. So I might either I can add some blue. I can add some Payne's gray. And see how I'm getting a darker green. So now what I'm gonna do is go in and go around some of these guys. Let me see if I can do a zoomy zoom in for y'all. So I'm going, and this is a fairly large brush. If you are using a big brush and you're having a hard time controlling things, go ahead and get a smaller brush. But this is definitely another layer I'm adding where we're just going around some of these leaves. This rock has some dark on it. This area is going to be super dark, but right now we're going to just put a little bit of this color down. And we keep following down these leaves. This is when you can start kind of chiseling out your leaves. So this was the advanced part of the class that was kind of like, oh, I didn't realize we were going to have to learn how to paint around the leaves that we want. So I am doing that right now. I'm going around these guys and painting little different shapes in here. Some of them are receding into the background. And then just smoothing that out to over here. So see how that's looking, and it's still really light. We're not to the point yet where we're focusing on the darkest darks. We're still focusing on just chiseling out those leaves that are a little bit of highlights in them. And I am going to try and start going around right here. Remember your waterfalls right there. Be careful not to go over too far. I'm going to go around these little guys. And see how I'm just creating different shapes? Because all these leaves are going to have, all these leaves over here, they're in different directions. So we're not painting perfectly shaped leaves. We're painting just shapes, and we're letting it kind of blend in there. So these little pink blobs are going to definitely have some more, they're going to have some more definition. They're not going to be just little round circles forever. But for right now, I just want to paint a little bit of that just around them. So see how I, oops, I didn't even do that right. Hold on. So I did not go real dark around all these guys. I didn't spend a lot of time on them. This is going to have some moss on this rock, so I just did a little bit of green on that. We're not painting any of the water yet. The water is still our white paper, right? So now I'm going to look at this. Hopefully we don't go past 11 today, because I'm not trying to make this a super long tutorial. But it is looking good. Ooh, look at this rock that we painted just like less than 5 minutes ago. Look at what it's done. Look at how cool that is. I don't know if you can see it, but that is what watercolor does. It makes these little blooms. It makes all these really delicate things that I could not go in and just paint those. I have to just let the water do what the water does. But see, this is dry. It's damp to the touch, but it's dry. So this is what I want to do next over here is mix my green, maybe with a little bit of my, I'll show you. I mix this green with this green a little bit just to darken it. I'm going to go try and go around and define, because that's the highlight of that rock in the front. So I want to make this, why is her hair? I want to make this look darker than this rock, because then that'll bring it out. And I'm liking how that looks, and I might add a little bit of my yellow just right there. And that looks pretty good. It's dark. It's hard to tell, but see how I'd made it a little darker. We can always go darker. It's hard to go lighter. So if you're in doubt, just start with doing really light work. So that's what I've been doing over here. It's just really light layers of the green, not trying to make it dark yet. See how dark it's gonna get? But for now, it's just gonna be green like that. All right, so now I might want to do the pink flowers just to make sure I have their shapes. So I have this nice smaller brush. I think it's a 6 or an 8, not sure. They need to design watercolor brushes that the numbers don't wash off. Here's another advanced tip for y'all. This is, I mixed my scarlet red and my dioxide purple into a pan right here, and this is the color I got. And I kept adding water, and you keep adding your water. So if you want to see this up close. So this is a lot of water in here. If this wasn't enough paint, I could add more paint into it, but this seems to be quite a lot, but it's very watery. This is kind of like maybe coffee or tea consistency almost. It's not thick paint. We don't want to use thick paint. We want to use thin watery paint. So now I'm going to put it right there, and you're going to see what I'm going to do, which I'm going to paint these flowers darker than they need to be, but they will be lighter because I'm going to show you. It's a advanced whole thingy here, but So I fill in the whole circle. See how my whole circles are being filled? And see, you can fill those in with lots of paint. And they're very dark. They're very, like, look at them. They look like little strawberries or something. So if we want them to look more natural and pale like they are in these, what we do now is we're going to rinse our brush, dry our brush, right? Dry our brush, and then watch what I do. We're going to lift. And you can lift however you want to make highlights. And if it stops lifting, you need to dry it in a paper towel and then lift. And I guarantee you, if you start doing this kind of painting, you're going to advance faster, because a lot of people like to paint it how it looks when it's finished. But as a watercolor artist, what you're doing is you're painting it and you're subtracting and you're adding and you're subtracting and you're lifting and you're making blobs of water, you're splattering, you're doing all kinds of stuff. So as a watercolor artist, to advance your skills, you're going to paint darker than what you think and lift. So that's one way of doing this. So there's an overall picture. Let's do the ones at the top of the page. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of my paint on my brush, fill in the whole blob. Got that? You might be like, well, I don't want round circles for my flowers. Well, we will be coming back in with green. Don't worry about it. And these are pretty pale right now, but I noticed that my flowers do have centers that are a little darker. So I can do that and add some little blobs of paint in there. And if I like how that's looking, I might leave it. If I don't like how it's looking, I might go back in and rinse my brush, dry it, and then do some lifting. So I might do that just to give it some highlights, because you got to have a highlight in your flower. And you got to have some shadow side on your flower. But a lot of times this is the little nuances are what's going to make this look more like a real flower, right? So let's look at the whole picture. And this is when you can make some executive decisions as you progress. You could start doing some of the waterfall just to get it in place, and know where things are. I think that was kind of our trouble yesterday with some of the newer watercolor students. They were losing what was like the upper pool and the bottom pool in the actual waterfall. And this waterfall is not like what some of my other waterfalls are. I don't have one here. I don't think I can show you, but sometimes it's easier just to do one big waterfall. But let me show you. This is some scratch paper I have. So what I'm going to show you real quick, I'm going to do some bluish green maybe. Get some blue in there. So I'm going to show you like what I mean, like one big waterfall. And we're just doing some dry brush technique. So that would be a very simple waterfall. And then you could go around it and put some greenery on the sides. You could add some little flowers if you wanted down in here. So this is something where you could do one big waterfall coming from up on the top, right? And like you can make a sky color that's like up here. So that's the top of your waterfall, and down here would be a pool of water. So that would be a quick little, I want to put some more green, maybe, but you know what I'm saying? Like this is something where you could do a very simple one waterfall coming down. I might save that. That's actually pretty. But this is more intricate and detailed because it has an upper pool, a bottom pool, and the very shallow streams of water flowing down. So this is definitely, I don't know what I was thinking, y'all, saying it was beginner. So I'm very proud of everybody who came and did this because it was not really beginner. Frankly, I do want to put in some of that water. I think that would be it would be good to do that. I'm mixing it with a little bit of green up here just because I don't want it to be straight from the pan the same color that it is. You always should be mixing your colors. So a couple colors anyways. Let us see if we can do this in, let's see, let's focus on some of the darker areas of this, which is right in here. So I'm going to start painting some of my darker areas, and it's going to go down to about here is where the water is falling. Also a little bit here, and I think I'm just going to go in with this and add some of these little guys. So it's starting to fall over the edge right there. And I might put some like that up and down. Might put, this is streaming like this. So it's kind of coming down. And there's gaps. Make sure you leave some gaps. If you try and do this all at once, you're going to have a couple issues. And the issue will be that you lose the white of your paper. So see how I'm using the very tip of my brush here, and I'm making this light color in here. And I'm watching, my eye is not even on my paper most of this time. My eye is watching the reference photo. And I don't have to do it exactly like the reference photo, but I do want to kind of keep, and now I mix a little more green into this. It's just kind of green up in here. There is some little leaf colors that are light yellow. So I'm going to leave that kind of empty. Again, keep some white. You want to keep some white areas. I think I'm gonna go right about there is where I want that to stop. So right now we are getting some good looking bones to this waterfall. This is not the finished waterfall. This is how I start the waterfall. So the next part would be, let's see if I can show you what I'm going to do next. I might add some of this burnt umber because I see some brown in the reference photo. While this is still kind of wet, I might add it in there. So let me show you really up close. And it's right in here that I'm seeing some brownish dark colors. I may have messed up where I'm preserving some of that blue, but it's okay. Because it doesn't, remember, have to be perfect, right? We are going to add a little bit in here. And I think it's not wet enough. So we're just going to re-wet with some more water and see what happens. But I'm feeling like this is gonna be pretty good. And I don't know why there's fuzz all in this. So what color am I using? I'm using a little bit of burnt umber and a little bit of that bluish green. And we can start chiseling out some of the little trickles, right? And some of these areas are darker than others. But once you paint that white, it's hard to bring that back, okay? So try really hard not to make it too dark or lose that white. You want to keep and preserve some of that white. You can always go back if it's too white with a little glaze of blue. But see how that's starting to turn out? I'm liking that. I like this dark area. Some of this is not dark enough, so I'm going to dip my brush in the brown. I'm going to start adding maybe some Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray really brings a lot of dark into that. I'm liking that color. So see right in there, there's some shadows where the trickles are falling down. Right? And there might be a few over here. And there might be some browns in here. And I'm liking how that's starting to look. It's definitely darker down here. And then I like to just do a little bit of water and just kind of blend out a little bit and let it dip in there just ever so slightly and make some blooms. And the water will do a lot of the work for y'all. You just got to let it do its thing. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to actually put some of that same kind of bluish color down here and pull up just little things like that, and just pulling it up and down. And that makes this look a little bit more realistic. So we got that. And this is going to be a little bit more blue in there. But it's light. It's not real dark. And then you can do a little bit in there. Make it kind of come in like it's coming down. Same here. Same in here maybe. And see, this is really dry brush right now. I'm doing some good dry brush. Sometimes it don't turn out like this. But that's looking good. I like how that looks. I'm going to probably stop right now because this is when you can overdo it. And I know there's more shadow in there, but I'm just going to let it dry and rest. Let it dry. So now, as I'm trying to be patient and not touch this, I'm going to go over to this section again, and I'm going to make a green that has more of that viridian. So I'm just putting a touch of the viridian green in there with the sap green. So it's both sap green and viridian green. That's just that bluish green. And what I'm going to end up doing with this is add a titch of my Payne's Gray into it. So look how dark that is now. Just made it a nice dark blue. And here's the thing is that I'm going to show you what we're going to do around these flowers, because a lot of people want to paint their flowers instead of painting around their flowers. This is another advanced skill, and you get better as you do it. So these flowers are popping out of a dark background. So paint the background, not these flowers. And the shape of these flowers, they have some petals. So I'm going around it. If you don't like the brush you're using, go ahead and use a different brush, like a smaller brush. I am kind of going around, and here's some petals on that side, and then connect. So, and that's going to go down. So now it looks like it's got an outline around it, but we don't want that. We want it to go back up, and we can go around some of these leaves up here and fill in. We're going to go around this one over here. This is another flower. So watch what I do here. I'm going to start chiseling out little petals for this guy. And I don't know what the top of this one is, so we're just going to pretend that we know what we're doing. And we're just going to go around. Of course it did that. For whatever reason, Wi-Fi is not working today. Is it working now? We're back. I think we're back. Sorry, I just noticed my Wi-Fi box is red, a big red dot on it, which means it is not working. You know what? Sometimes I get frustrated with technology. Sorry about that. It is very frustrating. I could really like bust out and cry. Bust out and cry. Okay, so right now I'm still trying to make these flowers come to life, and I'm going back to my photo reference. I'm always looking at my photo reference. Do not look at your paper as much as you look at your photo reference. So again, this is my photo. I'm looking at it. I am not looking at this too much. I'm looking at my photo and letting my hand-eye coordination do the work. That is another thing you'll have to start learning to do as an artist, is trust that where you're painting, your eye is doing what it's supposed to with your hand, okay? And it's just like any sport you learn, you get better at it the more you do it. You don't go out there and play the NBA if you've never shot a basket, with a hoop with your basketball. You just don't go out there the first time and do it. You have to practice it over and over and over again. Well, it seems like my Wi-Fi is back up, so that is good. Hopefully no more interruptions. Sorry if you've missed a whole bunch. I didn't even pay attention to what was going on with the internet until all of a sudden I looked over and there was just a bunch of red. But yeah, this is an advanced skill, is going around your shapes and not trying to paint the leaves, but painting the background around your leaves. So this is a very advanced kind of technique. But it's good to know it. You need it. So now I'm going to show you what I did with the other people. And I made something that was kind of a soupy kind of concoction of green, okay? And what I did was show them how to splatter. So sometimes splattering gets everywhere if you're not good at it yet, okay? But I'm pretty good at splattering. But even with the splatters, it's still getting where I don't want it. And I'm going to rinse my brush, dry it, and I'll show you up close what I'm talking about. I'm going to dab out a couple of these guys because that's not where I want them. And see how I just touched my brush there and they're gone, right? If I didn't like all of these up here, I just kind of wisp them away. But it can look good when you want to do some of that splattering. Splattering is a fun thing. You can also do little zoomy zigzaggies, right? You don't have to make them perfectly, because like these are impressions of leaves. These are not leaves. We're not painting the leaves are painting the background. And so like I'm just going back down where I was before, and nice little glare. I'll lift it up so there you can see it a little better. I'm just kind of getting another layer of dark on here, right? I'm just doing another layer of the dark green. We're going down the side here. So we're just filling this in. It's going to end up being almost black down here. So right now we're just doing this nice little bit of green. And I'm not trying to be perfect at all with these shapes or these marks. We're just letting the marks go. And I'm doing it fast because I do this for pretty much a living. Okay, so I know that the more I've done something, the more I'm better at it. Same with you guys. You can get better at this if you just keep at it. Don't give up. Like I did it. I gave up in my 20s. So I've told this story a bunch of times, but it's true, is that I was in my 20s taking a watercolor class and I didn't like it because he had us wet the whole paper. So like, let's say you have this whole piece of paper, right? And it's totally wet. Let's say it's all wet, this whole paper. This is what the guy had us do, only imagine this 100 times bigger, because he had us do it on like a ginormous piece of paper. He said, get it saturated with water and then paint yourself a flower, right? So he's like, paint a flower. Do you see how my flower looks? Paint a flower. That's not a flower, y'all. That's not a flower. I was so frustrated. I was like, I'm done. That's not good. So this way is how I teach, is you can wet one section at a time and fill that in. But there are advanced stuff, which I hope that you're getting some good info from this. And I don't know. Y'all, do cell phone towers, do they just go down? Does someone like cut the lines? I mean, it's not cable. I'm not on cable. I don't even know what happened. I'm gonna just have to keep checking with y'all, because if I don't keep checking, obviously I'm gonna miss when it's not online. Okay. So now we're gonna go to this upper pond. Upper pool. Let's call it an upper pool. So I have this beautiful kind of bluey green already color right here. I'm just going to very lightly go around this rock, right under the rock, and see how I'm leaving some white? See how I'm leaving white? You do not want to paint everything. You do want to paint underneath rocks and down, but you do not want to paint everything here. There's a lot of colors in here in the reference photo. We are leaving a lot of white. A lot of white. It's better to leave more white than you need, because you can always paint more. You can't paint less. Once it's painted, it's painted. You can lift a little bit, but at this stage it would be super difficult. So I'm going to rinse my brush, and I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into this color that I was doing earlier. So I'm going to add a little bit of my yellow, and it's kind of like a greenish yellow. See that? I like that color, and I see it in my reference photo. So I'm just going to dab it right there and right around there. Now dab a little bit over here, and dab a little, well, it's on the tops of these little rocks, so I might just put some more back in there of that color, and I'm going to water it down and go like that. And then I'm going to get some of that greenish blue that's already on my palette over here and go like that. Right there and there. I'm looking at my reference photo. I'm barely looking at my painting. Barely. Because I want to get this kind of right, you know? I want to put it in places that make sense to my eye. And I'm going to put some in there. And then now I'm starting to go here and there and all around. This is what I do. This is how I work. Might add some Payne's Gray. Sorry about my dog barking. I think things are happening and he's excited out there. So now I'm adding some darks into here. And I'm going around some leaf shapes in there. I want it more dark and more green. Now see how thick this paint is? It's a lot thicker. And this is when you can start going thicker with your paints, is when you're already got most of your painting done. You don't want to do thick paint at the beginning of your painting. You want to do it towards the end. Now I'm putting in some more down here. And I do need to chisel out a couple of my petals on these little flowers down here. I'll let you see what I'm doing. So I'm kind of going around them and making darker areas. I'm about to do something to that dog over there. And then I have more flowers than what's in the original, which is fine. It's not going to hurt anything. You'll just know that this one's mine. I'm going to add some of this yellowish green back in here and real watery now, so I can rehydrate some of these areas. Then I'll go in and put some of the darker green in there, and it's going to flow and do fun stuff. And the more you do this, the more you get better at it, okay? So sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not good at it, but you haven't given it enough time to really know if you are good at it. If you're brand new to it, just keep going. You'll get there. You'll get it. I'm going to add some more yellow in this green. And now I'm blending it into that because I want these two colors to blend together. Let me double check, make sure we're good. We are good. All right. So now this one down here, I feel like could have some more yellow on top. It's really not a rock, but remember, I was kind of like, I want to make it a rock. So we could add some Payne's Gray. Don't be afraid to use your colors, y'all. Use them. We're not trying to be conservative here. We're trying to use our paints and our colors, and it's better that way. Now I'm going to lift a little bit of a highlight. Do you see that, how I lifted? Just like I did the rock on the other side, I'm just lifting that so it looks more like a round little rock there. I'll go in with some darker colors behind it to bring it out. Over here, we're going to go back and look at all of this water flowing down. I'm definitely seeing more reddish colors, reddish orange colors. So I'm going to mix a couple of my colors together, which is like alizarin crimson and burnt sienna, burnt umber, and I might just use it in this pinkish purple area to get that nice color. Maybe a little more red. And I'm going to just dab it in here somewhere. And look at that color. And it's also over here somewhere. And I see a little bit in here, a little bit in here, a little bit down in here, a little bit up here. And see how this is still kind of wet? I can dab in there. And that's going to blend. This, we did not do this yesterday because it is definitely advanced. So we're just adding this kind of reddish color into some of this. It's getting darker and darker. I might add some just like red in there. That adds a lot when you just add that red in there straight in. These rocks up here have some of that kind of reddish color, so I might go right there, follow the line of that rock, and go upwards. And now I'm filling in, and I'm going to dip it right in my blue and go right over the top. My blue is not hydrated. Come on, blue. See how I just added some blue on top of that? And I'm going to rinse my brush and put some Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray over here. And I'm filling it all in, but I'm going to do my little highlight thing that I like to do. Which is, I'm going to drop some clean water. So let me see if I can show you up close what I'm going to do to this rock. I'm going to drop some clean water. If I can get some clean water. There we go. So the clean water is pushing that down, pushing it away. I can use the same kind of dark green and go back in over here and just start defining some areas again over here with that Payne's grayish green. And we don't want it all the same green. We want to have some variation in there. And that's going to go. I'm going to water it down and then just blend. Dry it, because if it's too watery, it's going to blend over there to that other rock. There we go. So see how I just blended that out? Looks a lot better. I haven't had a hard time with that in a while. Crazy how it did it today. But hopefully most of this is on video. And I think it's still going. All right. So that is just kind of what we're doing here. This rock also has a darker bottom half. So we can start going in and adding that in. And this is kind of watery, but it's going to work. It'll work. But we don't want to touch that side too much. We just want to kind of go towards the bottom. You can deposit those and let them sit. As they dry, they will look fabulous. Also, this rock right here is at an angle. And I'm just going to go around. And I'm watching my reference photo. My eyes are not on my paper so much, just to make sure my brush tip's where it's supposed to be. And then I look right back at my reference photo. And I start blending in. And I get my Payne's Gray because I want some dark Payne's Gray in here. Because it's shadowy. Right in there, shadows. So I'm not even mixing my Payne's Gray with anything because this is still pretty wet. So it's mixing on there, on the paper. I'm going to put a little bit under here just to get it looking darker. And this little rock in the middle of the stream, you can start adding to it to make it darker. And it's not going to be that color. I'm going to add some brown and it'll look good when I add the brown. I'm going to add some more Payne's Gray into these little spots up here. Up here. This is where you start really defining your flowers. There is like a rock right here. I guess it was supposed to go over that rock. I don't know. We're doing the best we can. It's not really perfectly rendered, right? We're going to make it our own. So that's super dark up there. I like it though. And this is our picture as we're zooming back out. We're going way over today. Sorry, folks. But that kind of happens when you're doing advanced technical detailed work, is you're going to start spending more time on it, right? I'm going to add some more in there. A little bit more in there. And I'm going to add a little bit more in there. And over here, I'm going to add some more. Now I'm going to really get a lot of Payne's Gray on here, and I'm going to start doing some more darks in here. Going around and down the waterfall. Payne's Gray again, just dip it in there. Thick and gooey. And going around some of these leaves. Oh, we finally stopped barking, which is good. So now I'm just kind of bringing it down where I can tell that there is some connecting into whatever this is. If it's a plant or a rock, I'm not sure. So see that nice dark area in here? See how dark it is? So that's what you want. And these leaves aren't perfectly done. I don't know if I want to change and do a little bit more like that. May want to do something like that. And I could go around. And make some more definition. So if you want to see me zoomed in on that, you can right there. So see, I'm trying really hard to preserve some of these more fancy looking leaves. I feel like almost like there's not really a whole lot right here. I could probably darken this area a little bit. Make those a little bit more. See, that's looking pretty good. Down in here, there's some green. With these guys, that's more viridian greens. So I might have to mix my viridian green up again. Come on, let's get some juicy viridian. There we go. And instead of adding sap green to this, I'm going to add yellow. And look what color I got. It's almost like a sap green, but not quite. Now I'm going to go in here and just start defining these guys a little bit better, because these flowers definitely could use some definition. And they're getting there, but there's some that are hiding behind foliage and some that are out in the front of the foliage. I'm going to go around this rock carefully so that it still looks like a rock. So see, looking up close, you can see that these flowers are starting to get more definition in them, more petals in there. So everyone was trying to paint the petals. I'm not painting the petals. I'm going around the flower, and the petals are emerging as I'm painting the background around them. Now, this looks kind of good, but I may want to have some highlights in some areas. So I'm going to lift and dab, lift and dab. Because I want to make some highlights in this green area. And see how I did that? Just really soft. It's just super soft, which is what I normally do. Let's see, we'll zoom back out. All right. Ooh, this one is turning out pretty. I may even like it better than my first one. Did I show you my? I don't know if I showed you what I did weeks and weeks ago. Weeks and weeks ago. This one I did weeks and weeks ago. I do like it. And this one I didn't record, I don't think. I just did it. And this is today's so far. So far. So I may go back into, let me see if I can show you guys what I'm going to do. Up in here, I might just add some definition of this pink. So putting a little bit of a darker pink over some areas. I got to be careful. I think some of that is still really wet next to it, and we don't want our green to blend too much. So now I might do some more of that pink down in here. I don't know what I hear out there. I feel like there's something. Dogs are getting into something. Reese. Reese. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Yeah, I don't know what my dog is doing. A little bit. Come here. They're into stuff. They're doing things they shouldn't be doing. Why? Because dad's outside, I'm in here, and they're being ignored. Anyways, sorry about that interruption, but I had to make sure she wasn't eating things off the counter or in the trash like she always do. She always do that. I am looking at this going, what does it need next? So this bottom pool, that's what we need. We need to focus on our bottom area of this pool. And then we will be almost done. I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty ready. I'm ready. So I'm mixing up a turquoisey blue. And my eyes are going to look right here at the reference photo. So you aren't looking at a reference photo, but I am. And if you want it, I'll share it with you. But I'm just going to add a little bit in here, right? I'm staring at my reference photo. I am not barely looking at the painting, okay? I'm barely looking at it. Sorry. Yelling at my dogs. Got my throat going. And I notice now I made this rock really big compared to what is on my reference photo. So that's fine. Again, it's making it my own, right? We are making this my own. And I'm doing these tiny little lines in here. Okay, tiny. Add a little green because the green's going to reflect into the water. That's what we're doing. We're painting the reflections into the water. And we're going over here. We're adding more green. We're making our lines bigger and bigger as we go down. So now we're going down over here and we're spreading it out. And we're looking at how it's looking on the paper. We may end up doing some darker colors down here. May add some of my burnt sienna into that reddish color and just put a little bit of that in here. Just dab it in while it's still wet. And see how that looks. It's almost like a purplish color. Maybe it's this red color. And I'm just blending it out, rinsing my brush, drying it, just tap it. Don't really dry it. And then smear, maybe dry a little bit more. Smear it, blend out that line, dab. You guys to see what I'm doing. I'm just dabbing it. Dabbing. See how I'm dabbing that? If your paper towel is sopping wet and it's not drying your brush, get a new one. This one's pretty soppy. Soppy. So now I'm going to smear that up just so that it looks less white in some areas, but it's still being perceived as white. See how I'm lifting it? I have a little eraser dust. So see how I just smeared my waterish looking, and I'm not trying to make it stay pristine anymore. Now I'm kind of blending those blues into there so it looks like the shadows are falling down, right? We want some of them falling down, shadowy looks. Now down here is supposed to be dark. So I'm going to show you up close what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my pins gray and we're going to go in there pretty thick. So I want it not that thick. Let's mix it so it's not so thick. But we do want to have kind of a defined little edge in there. And you can even do it up here a little bit so it looks like it's falling down. You want a little dark in here and maybe a little bit in here just to give it a little bit of a cascading look. And since this is kind of wet, it's going to do some blending and bleeding. And if you time it right, it can really look fabulous. It can really look fabulous if we time it right. Sometimes we don't time it quite right, and then it starts to look yucky. We don't want it to look yucky. I am going to start adding my darks in here to make this area look a little bit more in the shadow and building it up. So we've had quite a few little layers on this. We have not been trying too hard to get that to look dark from the beginning, right? It's all how you layer it. You need to be patient while doing it, because good things come to those who wait. At least that's what I've been told. I'm very impatient, so don't think that like I'm perfectly good at this thing. I am starting to add my own little wigglies in here. Now I'm going back over here. I don't even know if you saw all that. I was too busy watching what I'm doing to pay attention to the screen. But I'm going to do a couple more in here. Let's see what they do. Sometimes we do something and it looks great. Sometimes we do something and it don't look great. But we can't learn unless you try it. So you got to try doing these things. You can't just be like, oh, it's impossible. You haven't tried it. Go ahead and try it. Now I'm going and doing some more in here. And I'm just adding stuff here and there. I don't know what I'm doing. My dog is just whining to pieces. Why are you whining so much, pup? Stop it. No more whining. You're in here with me. Stop whining. I'm adding some clean water on top of these because I like how that looks. So I'm just adding some clean water, not too much. You won't know what's too much unless you try it. So I'm just adding a little bit and just blending those in. I don't know if I messed them up or not. Made them darker, but that's okay. I need a table that kind of tilts like this instead of flat. Flat is no good. Either that or I need to tilt my light. Sometimes if you tilt the light, I don't know, it would be better this way. Can't tell. But for me to see what I'm doing, it's great. For you to see what I'm doing, it's not so great. But that's okay. And here we go. I think we're almost done. I'm going to look at the top pool and add some more turquoise into that. Because we want some darker colors up here too. We don't want it to just be, it is moving water up here, okay? But rinse your brush and just smear that in, dry it on your towel, and just start moving your brush around here and there. You might want to put some pink. That might look good right there. Pink, pink. That would look good. I'm looking at this turquoise down here, and it's not as dark as I'd like it to be, so I'm going to add a little more turquoise in there. I do need to refill this. Like, all my turquoise colors are empty. It makes me sad because I thought I had some somewhere, but now I'm like, I don't know where it is. So I'm going to add this down here. You guys want to see up close? I can do that. So I'm going to go for it. See how that's really dark? And I don't know if I like how dark that is, so I'm going to rinse my brush off, completely dry it, and then we're just going to lift. And we're going to add some more water because it's just really dark. But I like how that looks. That looks good. And then you can see the whole thing. Looks pretty good. And we are over by 30 minutes. Okay, so this was for me an hour and a half because this is 8 by 10. Should have went smaller. Smaller is faster. I mean, you can do a quick little waterfall like this in like 30 seconds. You're going to do something like this. And it's going to take time. You got to have time. I feel like these flowers could use a little more purpley color. And that's what's great about this is you can go back in and go over some of these and make them a different color. You can make them more purple, more magenta, more red, more pink. But you don't make pink with white and red. You have to make your pinks with water in the paper. So that's what's going to make them look more pink is the water. Now I think some of these are a little bit too much the same. So I'm going to take some sap green and give them a little bath. Just a little bath on some parts of the bottom of them. And what I mean by a bath, I'm like very watery sap green on them. I'm going to do a little more sap green on these guys. These guys need a little bit more. And see, I'm just doing this nice little glaze, which really adds something, okay? You're just adding a glaze here and there. And it changes the tone in some of these flowers and leaves. Just adding a little bit here and there. I don't like that little seam there. Let's do that. Can put some more up there. And we can put a little bit on this little rock. And that kind of made these guys get toned down a little bit. We don't need them all super bright, just a few. And then in here, I feel like we didn't really do a lot of foliage. We just kind of went in and chiseled out those guys. But I'm going to add a little dark on the bottom of this, whatever this is. I don't know what it is. And a little bit more dark on here because I like contrast. If you guys don't have any contrast, then it's going to be looking a little weird. But we're going to leave some spots of white and go all the way to that end. So a little bit of Payne's Gray goes a long ways. So I like how that's dark now. Might add some dark in there and in there. And then zoom back out. And you can see that I'm adding some darks here and there just to make it look more like it's flowing. It's not too shiny. No, it's like shiny from the light. I'm looking down here and see if it needs anything. Just refining a couple spots. Not repainting everything. We're just refining a couple things. I like these dark contrasts in the middle. And we're almost done. Just go around this little rock. And maybe a little bit in there. And that's looking pretty good. Might add a little dark in here. Let's see what happens. Could add some splatters up in this corner because it's getting all over my water. But I'll just dab those up a little bit. So remember, if you get a splatter where you don't want it, just lift it up real quick. But I do like the splatters. Splatters really make it look kind of watercolory, right? Maybe a little more viridian, just like start blending in that to make it look a little more bright, which I don't normally do bright, but this is a very bright. It's very bright in my opinion. So I just added a couple little bright areas. Maybe too bright. I don't know. I'll tone them down just a little bit. And I think that might be it. Let me make sure this is dark enough. It's kind of got an area in here that's supposed to be dark. I think that's looking pretty good. See how that's looking recessed in there now? And you can even add, she's got a little bit of this. I think it's a she who originally painted this. Get yourself some burnt sienna. Get a good amount on your brush and just blob it in there. Blob it just a little bit. Maybe a little bit in here. But this is still really wet in places. You can see the shine on the paper. but that's kind of fun to experiment with that, and this will make it just your own when you start doing that. Let me see if we've got a good full view of that. And I'll just zoom out a little bit so you can see. See how that looks? Looks pretty good. Definitely looks like a waterfall or a little stream falling over. I feel like some of this could have been a little bit more defined. I don't know. This is where you can overwork it, and you're watching me do that. In real time, you're watching me just be crazy. Just be crazy. And trying to not overwork it. But you know what? I have to, right? I have to show you what I'm doing. And sometimes we want to, I don't know, we want to keep painting, right? So what do you do if you are pretty much done with the painting, but you're still in that mood to paint with that? Anyways, I'm gonna stop. I think I gotta stop because this is looking really pretty right through here. It looks like a nice little waterfall. And I could put little dots for those. That's always something I can do. What is going on with my phone and my computer? Everything is beeping at me, which drives me nuts. It's all beeping. Beepity beep. And I don't even know how to turn anything off. But hopefully you stuck with me, even though the Wi-Fi went out a little bit and I was just going nuts. But anyways, thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for supporting me. I don't know if you guys knew it. I reached 1,000 subscribers like the day after last week's video, which is pretty cool because I was like, oh, I only need one more. I was like at 999 and now I'm at 1,000. So you guys did that. God did that. Everybody supporting me did that. My friends sharing and everything, which if you haven't, like my video and like my channel, like all the videos, go watch them. Now I need watch time. So if you're not doing anything except like cleaning the house, go turn on one of my videos and just let it play. I think that's how that works. I don't know. But yeah, I probably need like 3,000 watch hours and I do not have anywhere near that. I don't even know what I have. I could look it up though and tell you. So what do we want to do for the scripture today? I think we randomly pick, right? Oh, this is good. This is good. They're all good, right? The Lord wrote them. Romans 12:12. And it says, don't forget to base your happiness on your hope in Christ. When trials come, endure them patiently. Steadfastly maintain the habit of prayer. I think we forget that prayer is powerful. Even when we're suffering, people around us suffering, we got to remember to pray. My friend Beth and I pray. We are little prayer warriors when we get together. Hopefully tomorrow at my little TikTok group, Beth will show up again. Maybe she'll lead us in prayer. I'm always a little, I don't know what I am. I want to say frazzled and not organized. Probably what I'm doing. But what about this that we like? Look how big it is compared to my head. It's big. 8 by 10. But it'll be ready for framing and I'll probably put this on my website maybe and sell it. What do you think? You guys want to buy it? I think you can paint it yourself and it'll be just as beautiful and better because you made it. And if you want to see my side by side, let's see what it looks like on my desk, these two. So this was the one I painted yesterday during class, which was quicker and more distracted versus this one, which is less distracted. Well, not less distracted. I really had to deal with some stuff today. Dogs and Wi-Fi going out, which I didn't know what to do with that. Is there ever like 100% Wi-Fi where it never goes out? That's what I'd like to know. Sign me up for that. But anyways, I hope you guys have a blessed day. I love you. I pray for you.